bassy, warm, musical, lush, effortless musicality, chill vocal set. As a comment to Highsenior, and why I have that huge respect for him, is they actually listen. They listen to average people. And how many times can you see that in our hi-fi industry? I think it's very, very rare. Spoiler alert, I liked him that much. It colors the sound in a great way. If you don't like warmer, bassier, slightly darker, a little bit more forward vocals, presentation, then you can move on to something else. I would so much rather have extra note weight in that area than listen to dry or thin mid-range tunings. And they're lovely for doing exactly that. I love the warm, bassy, beautifully colored tonality. Just shows that Highsenior's not afraid to put in quality drivers, and the other part of it is that they know how to tune them. I really enjoyed my set with the Okavango. Hello again, welcome back. I'm going to talk about a Highsenior Okavango. There is my version with abalone top plates and a silver gray pearl bottom that I paid a little bit extra for. So to talk about that, Highsenior reached out as they were launching a new series, and this is the Wild Nature series. And this is the first one in that. And this is a 1+6. So it's one dynamic driver, 6 balance armatures. I think to start off, you should put Highsenior on your watch list. This is my third one I've listened to, and they all have a house sound, very similar to Pen-On in the vocals and the laid-back tuning lushness. We'll get into sound in a bit. Let's just talk about this one itself. So the 9.5 millimeter dynamic biocellulose driver, that's important. What's even more important, I think, is the BAs. Now, Highsenior is one of these companies that like to keep what they have inside of their IMs close to the chest, but I managed to squeeze out some information, and I will tell you that there is 4 Sonyan balance armatures for the mids and 2 Knowles for the highs. And that is important too, because that is a magic combination when it comes to mids and vocals. And the Okavango doesn't disappoint. There's a 4-way crossover network. So again, lots of thought and design went into this. Has a pretty amazing frequency range of 30 hertz or 10 hertz to 30 kilohertz. Some serious extension. Pretty efficient as well. It's only 20 ohms impedance, so it's fairly low impedance. But 112 dB sensitivity. With 1 watt of power going into it. So the other thing to note is there are tuning switches. Oh, yay! I know what you're saying. That's fantastic. There you go. 2 little tuning switches. Yeah. It comes with this black 4-core woven nylon cable. Decent. All the accessories were good. That Pelican 1010 industrial indestructible case that you probably never use unless you're going scuba diving. But that's what's in the box. Let's get into the important stuff, the geeky stuff. So this thing is from regular prices $3.99 to $4.69 without any promotions on it. And there is some right now because they're just launching this. So a couple things. Why there's a price difference? Well, you can get custom shells. You can get custom tunings. You can get custom in-ear, the ones with the impressions done, either digitally or you can send them in. They both support that. So pretty good and pretty inexpensive to make yourself a truly customized set, which is probably what's going to happen for me. Is I'm going to flip this set and get a set of customs because, spoiler alert, I liked them that much. So pictured in its final configuration for me is this Hakuge. I know how some of you like to correct me on my spelling. And again, I shall remind you that I do not care. Hakuge Golden Booty Pro. That's how they say it, not me. So, and there's a reason I use this cable. And again, if you call hooey on cables because they don't make a difference to you, I don't care. They make a difference to me, and I can hear a difference. And I put the effort into making the best I can out of these things. Tips are important, as I keep mentioning, super important, and they really came into play here. So first of all, to talk about the Okavango, just so you don't watch whatever length this is going to be, that if you don't like warmer, bassier, slightly darker, a little bit more forward vocals presentation, then you can move on to something else. But that's what these are. And they're lovely for doing exactly that. So if you're looking for a super analytical set, even though it has amazing treble extension, we'll get into that. It might float your boat too. It's a different tuning because of those tuning switches. So all my listening impressions on this time were done with the Hibby R6 Pro 2, because my Gishelli Labs DACs, I've got two now, are being sent out to get new boards put in them, upgraded, so I can change out the op amps as well. So that's pretty exciting. And if you're not familiar with that company and you're looking for a desktop DAC, take a good look at Gishelli Labs, not Chi-Fi. And I'll have a more information on some of that stuff as I get those parts in. Anyway, so that's what I used on my review. What I liked about this set, just to start off, what really struck me, and lush musical mids. Excellent lows, great sub extension. The balance of the highs was quite nice, not fatiguing yet really detailed. Customizable shell, again, I love that feature, and decently priced, and they're awesome to work with. Customizable tunings. Where else have you heard that? They're willing to actually tweak your particular IM. I love the warm, bassy, beautifully colored tonality. It is a wonderfully colored IM. It is not a neutral IM. And the treble switch was also one of the things I liked. That if you didn't like as much as warm and bassy and you still wanted a lot of treble extension, zip, flick the switch. What I didn't like so much about this set is the bass saturates a bit of the mids, adding a thickness to female vocals, mutes the top end resolution a bit without the treble switch on. The treble switch, speaking of that, for my preferences, just added too much of a good thing. It was too much. It makes the highs sound unnatural. The thing I also don't like is tuning switches. I'll put that as an overall. They're just evil. I just rather have a set tuning. Honestly, I'm good with that. Micro nuances, details could be better in the balance mode. Again, without treble switch on. Stage depth is just average. Headspace is intimate. Height is just okay. Mid bass. If you're a fan of very snappy attack and decay mid bass, you won't find it here as well. The bass is a bit soft, even for my tastes. So that is the what I liked and what I was hoping for some improvements. Let's start off on my journey. So, and this is why I have huge respect for this company. So I was noticing some driver flex when I first put on my normal tips, like my ASLA clears or my JVC spiral dots, and I would push the IM into my ears and I would get a slight pop. So that's what's called driver flex. It doesn't actually hurt the driver. It's not known to do that. It's a bit annoying. But the bigger issue for me is when after, in this particular case, the driver flex and the venting is pretty minor. Now, they do have a vent, right? So there's a little vent there. It just might not be big enough. And what happens is after about 40 minutes of listening with certain ear tips, I get lots of buildup of pressure. Now, again, I don't know if I said this in a few of my videos that I didn't even know about this issue as much and how much it affects me personally. So what it does for me is, think about this. So when this is in your ear and it's the drivers, dynamic driver is going to move more air than balanced armatures. But even so, even with BA sets, they still are moving air. And over a certain amount of time, and if you have really tight seal in there, there's nowhere for the pressure to go. Now, some sets are now incorporating pressure relief valves that will put a tube from the nozzle back into the cavity and then vent it out again, and to relieve some of that. So that's good to see for people like me. What it does for me is it basically does a standing wave. It cancels out the bottom end, so I get an abundance of treble, and it makes it uncomfortable from, the Hita's MS5 was instantaneous. The AudioSense AQ4, same thing. The bass was just muddy, bloated for me, whatever it could pump out. So I fixed it. So bottom line is where am I going with this? So I reached out to Gareth from Highsenior, and he was already aware of this with some other feedback that he's received from other people, and they've been working on a fix. The fix is going to be an updated version with the driver more properly vented. For most people, this is going to be a non-issue. And if you never suffer from this or you're not sensitive to it, there's no reason why you wouldn't pull the trigger on this set. But I'm just making you aware of this right now, and that if you are sensitive and you are interested in this set, maybe wait for the revision to come out. But for most people, everyone else in my review group have no issues. It seems to be a me thing. which is I'm okay with as well. So now that I'm aware of it, I understand a bit more about it, and I can fix it in some cases using either foamy tips, and in this case, I used Moondrop's spring tips. They're actually a little bit ribbed for your pleasure, and they allow a little bit of pressure relief as well. So the other reason I like this tip is, well, if I lost any bass, I don't think so. I may have, but it's got plenty to go around. And I really like the way it sounded with the spring tip. So it might even be a great recommendation for you, regardless of the fact. So give them a try. So that's enough about pressure relief and all that happy jazz. As a comment to Highsenior, and why I have that huge respect for him, is they actually listen. They listen to average people. Me, you, anybody on Facebook, social media. They're listening. Their ears are open as well. And if they think there needs to be a revision done or something retweaked or tuned, they do it. And how many times can you see that in our chi-fi industry? I think it's very, very rare. And so I think that's why this company is going to go places. And one to keep your eye on for sure. So now, tuning switches. Let's get into those tuning switches. I'm happy to report that the Okavango's tuning switches work. Probably too well. There's only really two major tunings with this one. Overall classification. Let's call it a bassy, warm musical setting. And then one with the flick of the switch to take like from 6,200 hertz to 14,000 and boost that up like about 12 dB. If you're a treble head, you will enjoy this, but still have bassy, warm bottom and vocals. It's a really interesting tuning with that switch on as well. For me, overall, Highsenior, some feedback. I'd love to see this set, if it got retuned with the new vent, to have just a tad more of the high end without the treble switch on, and turning the treble switch on, maybe maximum 6 dB extra of the high frequency. The 12 is too much for me. Anyway, that's just some feedback. So let's talk about the 4 settings. Where I ended up was off, both switches down. In this settings, and this, all my listening impressions will be based on that setting, because that's what really did it for me. Where the other 3 settings were, well, let's go from the bottom and do it the other way. How's that? 1-1, both on. Wrong in the full context of the word for me. Bloated bass, vocals way off, all that extra frequency energy, for me, just makes the Okavango very unbalanced. It was definitely my least favorite setting. Bass on, treble off. This one made the bottom end too muddy by reducing the mid energy a little bit, around the 2 to 4K area. I'll throw up a graph here and you can see that. It makes female vocals a little bit too thick and unnatural. Again, not bad, not horrible, but not correct. 0-1, bass off, treble, full on. This was an assault on my treble sensitivities. I'm kind of playing that up a bit, honestly. It's just too much in the wrong places. Just makes instruments pop out in a kind of unnatural way, that I thought. And then we go to 0-0. So, bassy, warm, musical, lush, effortless musicality, chill vocal set. a little bit vocal forward, and by far my most favorite setting. The bass was a bit snappier than with the bass boost on. Would I have loved to see a tighter, faster bottom end? Yeah, I would. Um, but that's not this particular tuning. Some are going to love that more in a sub bass focus than they are mid bass. So, just my impressions of how this sounded. From that little blurb above, you would think that I didn't enjoy my time with the Okavango. But at the beginning of this video, I just said I'm going to go actually buy this set again and make a custom. That didn't make sense, but it does if you understand and you enjoy this particular and this kind of tuning. I really enjoyed my set with the Okavango. What Highsenior set out to do, and in their statement, okay, it says they want to get a clear, profound, dynamic, and relaxed music anywhere you need it. Mission accomplished. I think they smacked that nail right on the head and did a good job. The bass is warm. It's organic. It's definitely sub-bass focus. It's got kind of an old school, big ported box speaker sound. That was a giant run-on sentence, but I needed that kind of description to describe exactly how I thought the bass sounded. The bass is nicely weighted and sub-bass focus for sure. That 9.5 millimeter, slightly smaller than your average 10, and I think it can be where it has lots of extra energy. You see the graph again into the mid bass, but because it's a little bit smaller driver, I don't think it bloats the mid bass per se. In fact, it colors the sound in a great way. An excellent quality driver. It really shows. You can hear it, and there it has great control. Has excellent decay. You can hear the resonances of the drum skins. And it takes its time to let it play out on the decay of the notes. So at times I think it lacked a little bit of snap and attack that I prefer from low frequency transducers. But again, that's more of a personal preference as well. So overall, with the 0-0 switch, both switches down, I thought the bass was nice. It added in a nice huskiness to vocals, a little bit of coloration to them, but not enough in a way to make me not enjoy it. In fact, it was the other way around, where I really enjoyed that kind of tuning. And that really plays into the mids. The mids and vocals are definitely the star of the show. No big surprise here with the use of those four expensive Sonyan BA balanced armatures. That is a magic mix right there, those four. If you want lush, organic, natural sounding vocals and mids, correct tonality to instruments, you're all going to get it with that. So I think Penna needs to look out, because that's kind of their house tuning, and Highsenior has figured out that it's a pretty good sound. So I love this the tuning of the mids and the vocals presented in this way. I would so much rather have extra note weight in that area than listen to dry or thin mid-range tunings. They don't excite the music to me, for me. So let's talk about the highs. Highs have lots of detail. They're presently there. They're clear. They're crisp. There's no sibilance or harshness to detect at all. There's no BA timbre. Not detectable at all. The the overall coherence between the dynamic driver and the balanced armatures are perfectly blended. You can't tell where one is crossed over and one starts and one stops. Again, I'm basing that off of the 0-0 setting with the treble switch off. With the treble switch on, it was a different thing. You could just tell that there was some BAs up there that were working hard, right? Overall replay was open. It's detailed. I feel that if you turn the bass switch on and you still turn the treble switch off, it pulled some of the attention away from the air and sparkle that you got with the bass switch off. So again, it's where I ended up with off staging. Not much 3D. Width is good. Depth is okay. Height is okay. Is this a death sentence? No. For some, maybe. Honestly, it really plays well into the overall tuning. And I've mentioned this before with a couple IAMs. It allows you to fully immerse yourself into the music instead of just trying to pick apart a song or analyze something, and you're trying to get all the minutia. In this case, you're just trying to listen to the music. To be fair, I haven't done my review of the amazing Soft Ears Twilight. I have yet to hear anything close to projecting a 3D stage. Not even the 64 audio gear came remotely close. And everything else now, to me, sounds intimate, as I use that as a reference. And so I base my stage on a reference, right? What is the best I've ever heard? How does this compare to that? There you go. In conclusion, if you are someone who prioritizes a very analytical in conclusion, if you are someone who prioritizes details, wants a very analytical set, while still not sacrificing the bass, the Okavango might still be for you with the treble switch to on. That being said, you are not going to get a neutral tuning. You're still going to get a colored tuning with just lots of extra high end with details. There is that house sound, Highsenior colorization coming into play. It's going to make this set tuning kind of unique with the treble switch on. I haven't heard that too much before. It's quite unique, an experience for me listening to that. And again, bravo to Highsenior for being brave and doing that tuning. But now, if you were also a mid-bass lover, loves the attack, you love the slam, the perfect tonality in snares and hi-hats as I do, as I prioritize, you might find yourself still forgiving the Okavango for its faults, honestly, because you end up falling in love with the just overall sheer musicality of this set. I think in the end, I would say if you can overlook some of the Okavango's flaws and you decide to pick up this IM, you're going to go on a magical musical journey. You're going to immerse yourself into the music, and you're going to forget about the worries of life and strife, and you're going to just enjoy the sheer lushness, the musicality of this set. In final observations, in my journey with the Okavango, I've listened to many IMs, and as much as I appreciate different tunings, I, like you, have my personal preferences. While I enjoy some sets more than others, and some not at all. That being said, my Highsenior Mega 5P was also the review that I did on that. That wasn't my set, that was a loan set. I was very favorable of that set, but there was on the top of my wish list was more high frequency extension. Boom, Okavango was born, and it did that for sure. Um, Everything that I thought the Mega 5P was missing, the Okavango put in there. It's not a side grade. It's definitely, in my opinion, an upgrade. Yin Yang Canon, the original. Really like that set. Definitely one of my favorites. The organic bass quality with the Okavango actually gave me flashbacks of that tuning. Very favorable sounding set as well. But here, I think again in the Okavango, you get better top end extension and the implementation of the high end. With the duals Knowles BA, it's nicely weighted throughout the entire spectrum. When it came to the SoundRhyme SR7, I also had it had some really enjoyable quality overtones and traits that I found very desirable in my preferences. But I still found with that set something was missing. I think I was left with one final thought, and that was, Highsenior, having used the pricier Sonyan balanced armatures, it's a bit of a risk because you're bumping up the price. But the use of four of them for the mids was an excellent choice, and the use of the Knowles for the highs again. I would prefer a Knowles BA over a Sonyan BA because I love the lushness of the mids, but I also want the crispness in the highs. And it was an excellent choice. It just shows that Highsenior is not afraid to put in quality drivers. And the other part of it is that they know how to tune them, right? With the Mega 5P, the SR7, the Yin Yang Canon, I think if you took the best out of all those IAMs and you incorporated it into one IAM, you would get the Highsenior Okavango. It's musical, it's relaxing, it's warm and lush, and it's a very enjoyable set you can sit back and chill with for long sessions. And constantly be just immersed into the music, right? You're not going to find yourself being pulled away or distracted. You're just going to chill out, and done well. This is a Tone Deaf Monk. Out for now. If you made it to the end of this, thank you. I have tons of stuff now on It's Weird. The Soft Ears Twilight. Oh, very cool set. Also got the DZ4 Let Sure. Let's see what that one's about. I've got the new Jazzier's Clear single DD coming. And a bunch, a couple more KZs just because they like talking smack. And I like talking smack back. I fucked that up.